And I want you to consider how many of you know, or maybe you were a young person who was really good with technology or wanted to major in engineering in college. Anybody seen that? Anybody, I remember that when I was in this group called Black Achievers back in Louisville, Kentucky, when I was a teenager. And I remember all the kids that were the good kids that had good grades. I wasn't one of them, but almost all of them wanted to major in engineering. I remember just there were so many engineering majors in that group. And here's the thing. Whenever we have a kid in our community that has, a really good science background and is really technical, the first thought is, okay, go to college, become an engineer, computer scientist, you can get a great job and make a lot of money. I personally think that that's not the most efficient route. I think that you have a lot of Jeff Bezos type people that could be doing amazing things if they were pointed in the right direction. And it's not just pointing them in the right direction and saying, "Hey, look at this story about Bezos. You could be like him." It's also learning like what that process looks like, so that you don't misidentify um, a standard trial and error scenario with failure, right? Like because a lot of people, if you're a short-sighted person and you don't understand what real success actually looks like, that it's really lumpy and difficult, and you feel like a failure a lot of times, then you're gonna think you failed. You would have given up. A lot of people would have given up with Amazon because if you remember, Amazon was losing money in buckets. They were not growing at the rate that they thought they were going to grow. There were a lot of failures along the way for many, many years that he had to endure. He had to really buy the dip on himself in order to keep that thing going. And so just understanding that, it really says that when you're telling your kids about being wealth builders and entrepreneurs, don't just give them capital and don't just give them knowledge, give them the emotional resilience and balance required to woosah their way through the tough experiences. Because if you're not mentally tough, then what happens is, remember Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Can they get punched in the mouth and still stick with the plan? Because you're gonna get punched in the mouth. Jeff Bezos got punched in the mouth, and he was successful. Imagine what people feel like when they weren't successful. You're going to get punched in the mouth. And that mental toughness, that resilience, that is something that we lost with integration, in my view. I feel like our grandparents had it more than we did. I really do. I think that there's something that happened that softened us up, where we put ourselves in the victim box. And when something goes wrong, in some cases we say, oh shoot, there's that racism again. Every time I try to start a business, the white folks gets in the way, and the racism comes, and it takes away all my dreams. And we built the Black Wall Street and they burned it down. Every time we build a Black Wall Street, they burn it down. That Lord Jesus, okay, yeah, they're gonna try to burn it down. That's a compliment actually, because that means you've risen up enough that they now see you as a competitor. And when people see you as competition, yes, the haters come out at night. They will come at you from every angle, every direction. Life ain't fair. They're gonna try to undercut you, undermine you, block you, destroy you, burn you down, sue you, whatever. So being focused is critical because you're gonna have times when you're gonna get knocked out, knocked to the ground, and you're gonna have to find a reason to get back up. That resilience piece, if you never get that, then it's very difficult to accomplish big things if you have not had a commitment to resilience. In fact, when I talk to young people, I tell them actually, I think the resilience is the most important part. I think that's just as important as the skill set or the capital base and all these things. So be careful when you talk about the narrative of what it means to be black in America. I'm not saying that you should deny that what happened in Black Wall Street or deny the fact that people don't want to see you win.